Hello again, and thank you so much for joining me. This is Sherrill M. Garth, and I'm going live. And I like to say for the record, I don't know if this is doing anything right here. Okay, I'll go this way. Rotate. Okay, I don't know if you can see me okay. Once again, I want to say that this is your segment on professional development, and I'm going live on professional development, and I'm not understanding what my thing is doing here. Anyway, this is professional development by Sherrill M. Garth, and I am a professional development specialist in language arts and the new language learner. And I want to talk to the teachers. This is a call to action. And what I want to do is say that I haven't been on for a while, but I'd like to come and bring you some nuggets because teachers need advocates for them and they need to have someone to speak on their behalf. And because I am retired now, I want to be the eyes and the ears for the teachers. And I want to say that teachers need advocating because there is not enough salary being paid to teachers for the work that they have to do. And therefore, we must beef up our HR department in recruitment. As a professional development, I can say this because I work with the teachers in helping decide which courses that they need to take for continuing education in order to renew their license and also in order to upgrade themselves and to take on new endorsement. So I'm going to also act as an surrogate advocate for human resource and for the benefit of the teachers' benefits. One thing, the benefits are lacking. And when I say the benefits are lacking, I am saying the benefits are lacking. Income levels are very low. They were very low when I was a teacher over 30 some years ago. And it has improved, but not as much. One of the things I think we need to look at as recruiters in the HR department, we need to look at what can we do in a benefit package? And there are tons of things you can do. There are all kinds of companies out here that are willing to give you endorsements and to give you support, whether it be for a trip to Disney World or a sabbatical trip for the teachers to go out on a cruise, whether it might be to add a paid salary for a substitute teacher to come into class, because what a teacher needs most is relaxation and sabbatical, as well as getting a chance to refresh and renew her strength to come back in to deal with the younger children. You will find that most of the teachers are overworked and exhausted. And one of the things that I found, because I was such a good teacher, I was always getting new students. And I had to put my hand up and say, it's 26 children in here. You can't put any more in here. And teachers always hold your ground, stand your ground. Because if you're a good teacher and the parents find out about it, they want their children transferred into your class by any means necessary. So what I want you to know is that you may be a good teacher, but if you don't have the aid and the support to govern those 30 children, please do not take 30 children in your class, even though someone says from the office it's okay. It's not okay. And most of the teachers now, when they come into the profession, time they see another opportunity for a job where they can make between 40 to 50,000. If they're only making 30,000, guess what? They're going to leave the profession. And most of your human resource people are offering incentives to stay, and sometimes they offer incentives to retire early. Then you lose all your good teachers, and they give you like a bonus of $2,000 to retire early, and you lose all your bonuses. Now, let me also say that you could go to corporations that will give you bonuses for your teachers, and you can put them in their benefit package. And sometimes the benefit package is more important than the salary. A lot of our young people don't know that. They go after the salary and they don't think about their 401k, they don't think about a pension plan, and they don't think what's a better deal. Now, if we start educating our teachers to better benefits, then you will find that they will take lesser salaries if you can offer them a better benefit package, and they can take it home Monday morning and use it, and it's not something just for retirement, because most young people are not thinking about retirement or that they'll ever need that 401k, because they usually cash it out and take it with them when they travel to other places. And they'll take the penalty. They'll take the penalty rather than rolling it over into a self-IRA. So you've got to make your teachers educated and make them educated quickly. And when I became educated as to the long and short-term disability, it clicked for me. For those teachers who have no benefits left for vacation time, and if they should get sick and they have to be out for more than 6 months, if they had a short-term disability package where it would pay them up to $2,000 a salary per month while they stay at home and recuperate for 6 months. By golly, if you show them that you'll match that with a long-term disability for a year, they will pay the premium for the short-term disability. I know I did. But whether or not they can use it, that's a different story. They may have to fight when they submit their disability claim. That's a different story. Now, don't quote me on that. They don't always get that benefit, but it's good to have it. Now, another thing is that you can allow that teacher to have a benefit package that is equal to her salary, and you not have to pay a lot of money out. A lot of these things can be given to the district. Now, what happens when that teacher goes back and she successfully finishes a master's degree in another whole administrative area? Do you stick her back in that classroom and say, congratulations, you got your master, you went up 2 whole pay statuses, and now you're going from a status B to a status A and to a status B? Now, or do you give them a chance to apply for other jobs in the district that are in the administrative area so that they can advance themselves? Or do you try to hold them in that classroom and make it very difficult for them to advance and go anywhere? Administration, you have to look at that. You cannot hold that person's back, and you cannot hold a person back whose time has come. Now, I want to speak to you teachers and letting you know that it's very vital that you should, first of all, during the first week that you're orientated, get accustomed to know your union. Not just because you want to know the union when you want to strike and you want to march up and down the street, but you want to know what benefits are covered under the union and when exactly are you eligible to be covered under the union. A lot of young people don't understand that there is a time period when you can be accepted into the union. And if you don't meet probation, you might not get the union to help you. But for those of you who make it past the probationary period and get into the union, go into the union department. Find out what jobs are open and what non-paying jobs and volunteer jobs are open where you can become a union rep, and immediately get to know your union. Because you're going to need your union, and by golly, you might have to use your union. Do you know how to write grievances? Do you have a handbook from the union? Make sure you get your handbook from the union and learn how to write a proper grievance, because all grievances are not created equal, and all grievances don't get answered if you don't write them in the appropriate way. So why do I say this? Okay, let me give you a point in case. You might not realize this, but in your contract it says you must be evaluated every January, the 1st of the month. And that is a stipulation that your administrative principal should have to tell you, I'm going to have to evaluate you in January, so be ready. They can give you a clue, and they don't have to. but you must know you're going to be evaluated then. So when they come knocking on your door, Mrs. Graff, I'm going to be evaluating you this week. You must be ready. That might be a heads up they're giving you, but they don't have to give you that heads up. But you have to be ready with your lesson plans, and you have to also evaluate yourself and submit your evaluation to the team of evaluators or that one principal. Now, say for example, everything starts breaking out and all hell breaks out in that building the next couple of weeks. The principal forgets everything and casts everything to the wind and forgets she's supposed to evaluate you. And you go on and you say, oh my God, now here we're in the middle of the month and I still haven't been evaluated. My goodness, what are they going to do? Are they going to reschedule? No, they missed the window of the time that was open for the evaluation. They must wait until next year. Now, if that principal comes knocking at your door, Ms. Graff, I want to reschedule. I'm going to do these evaluations at the end of the month. You'll say, the time period for that is over. Well, I'm going to evaluate you tomorrow, and then I'll evaluate you the next day, and the next day, and the next day till we get it finished. You say, oh, no, you won't, because I have rights too. And the handbook says that you must evaluate me in the time period that that window is open. You now must wait until next year. Now, if they want to dispute you and argue, then you go before the union and write a grievance and have the grievance union look into what is specific order and what is in good order, and let them challenge the school board. But you must become connected to your union. Don't just wait till you get ready to march because you want to strike or something. Be a part of the union. The union is your friend, and you will need the union if you stay in the system any length of time. Now, I want to also say that principals, you have to be very fair to first-year teachers. You have to give them the benefit of the doubt because sometimes they are not familiar with procedures. But I guess ignorance is no excuse of the law, I guess you would say. So teachers, just like you are up on top of your lesson plan, you've got to get up on top of all of your benefits and your administrative procedures. And you have to understand nobody's going to pull your coattail on everything. But once again, I want to say that it's one thing to be a person who is not astute to your rights and benefits because it's to their benefit to use your ignorance against you. But nevertheless, as a professional development, I want to talk to you about putting in requests for topics that you want to have professional development done. And now they've changed the name to professional training, and it's not professional development any longer because they want you to engage yourself in their workshops. So we're no longer just giving workshops where you sit and listen to us all day talk, but you're engaging yourself in these workshops to make them more acceptable and take home ready so you can use them on Monday morning, and you're not just stuffing everything under your desk because it's a bunch of paperwork and you don't want to fool with it. So therefore, you've gotten a lot of professional development that you can do nothing with, and you don't benefit from the growth and the changes in the curriculum. Now, as a curriculum specialist, I will say this much. Teachers have to be involved in research. And if you are a teacher that is growing with your profession, you want to stay engaged with updating yourself in technology. Technology is going to be the most marketable thing for technology across the curriculum. So teachers, you're no longer just going to be able to mimeograph and copy everything. You're going to have to go to the high-tech highway and introduce your classroom to some of the high-tech material. And just as you see the echo in the home being used to take commands in the classroom, you can use an echo in your classroom to help you when you don't have the paraprofessionals or assistants to assist you. most lower level classes like preschool and kindergarten, they have an assistant. But you have to train your assistants to make sure it is beneficial and that she's doing what she's supposed to do, and she's just not wasting a lot of time on her own personal goals. You have to set goals for her. And when you evaluate her, you have to make sure you're evaluating him or her properly. And it's no longer just her anymore. It is also men too. Now let me zone into this topic on men. There's so many jobs that go unfilled that men could do a better job at parental guidance in the classroom with the balance of a male and a female teacher will give those children who don't have fathers at home a glimpse at what it means to have dual parenting in the classroom. Because that's what you're doing. You're parenting. You're not just being the judge and the ruler and the jury. You are parenting. With love and kindness have I drawn thee. When you draw children with love and kindness, they will perform well for you, and you don't have to scold them or sentence them to a life in special education because they're not listening. Most children that love order and a harmonious environment, they will just about do whatever you want them to do, and standing on their head is no exception, to make the teacher happy, because they are out to stay in the family, and especially if there is a dual family there training them in the classroom that they don't have at home, they look forward to coming in the classroom with a male-female gender. That's one of the things I'm going to recommend that school districts start looking at. And if you can take the salary of a paraprofessional who is not going to go back to school, she's just going to remain mediocre, and she will not challenge the children, it's a waste of time. Why not take that same income and invite a male in to teach and give him a limited license to work on that salary while he completes his deficiency? Then you will have a dual heads of household in the family, and you can stop talking about, well, the black community doesn't have both parents in the household. Well, the black community is lacking the male in the household. Well, the black community has no male figures in the household. Then fix it. Fix it in the school system and bring the black males in. I know plenty of black males who have a liberal arts degree or a business degree that would be excellent examples of dual heads of household in the classroom. And when you have a male in the classroom, let him handle his role, female teacher. Let him take the lead and let him guide you as you work together as a team. Then the children will see that harmonious relationship in the classroom, and they can go home and duplicate it even though there's no man in their household at home. We can solve this problem overnight, administration. Bring me in as one of your coaches and I will show you how. Because we have far too many men who have gotten their license to become paraprofessionals and have gotten no assignments to go into the classroom to even be a paraprofessional. Some of them are managing Boys and Girls Club. Some of them have over 300 to 400 children to be responsible for, and they're doing the doggone thing, but yet society locks them out of a society that is an all-female 80% industry. It's wrong. And statistics have shown that it is far better to create alternative programs to bring in teachers from other persuasive industries like in business who can come in to make a change for the better. And some of these soggy classrooms where they're so boring, the average black boy acts out to get a pass out of the classroom. Well, when they find that there's a man there that they can communicate with and they can sharpen their iron with, they want to be in that classroom because they want to be challenged by that man. Just try me on it. I'm willing to bet you that if you turn this thing around overnight, take all those black paraprofessional males that are on the list and bring them in for alternative teaching position, they will more than meet the criteria and meet your quota for getting those grade point averages up. Certain things that only a male can do to sharpen the iron of another male person that females can't do. I said there are certain things that a male instructor can do that the female instructor can't. For one, my statistics showed me that most males, at least African American males, will turn a deaf ear to listening to a female's voice on a continuous basis. It sounds like their mother's voice who's nagging all the time. But let a gentleman come in and speak to this young boy in a stern voice. He will readily pick up on the emphasis in his voice and will quickly do what it is that is being required of him. We've got to stop this nonsense in these schools. We've got to marry the black man back to the community. And we've got to marry this black man so he has control and authority and he's not a patsy to anyone. No woman wants in her class a patsy who's a yes man, but a real man that can take charge. So I am proposing for the next generation that we look at getting those males, preferably black. I didn't say Caucasian because we got enough of them. I said preferably black into these positions where they can work as a team teacher on a limited license for 3 years while they work on their deficiency, just like we have in the state of Indiana. They are now pushing for those liberal arts degree majors, and they're looking at women, but we want to move the ante up and push for bringing in black males. If you say you're really trying to help the black males, then get them off of these roles that are potentially candidates for prison. If we can give them employment, then they can feed themselves and their household, and then we can make a better society. We keep talking about income levels. If you keep pumping up the white community's salaries to 15% and you keep lowering the incomes of the black families, then you're going to create a deficit. That's why you see so many young boys that steal, because they're going to have the things that you have put in front of them that they say that they can't have. If you gave them a job and the opportunity, then you will cut down on the theft and you cut down on this inability to have your own, because you'll be able to purchase it through your income. So why aren't they black males in the school system, in the classroom? Why are most of them in administration and not in the classroom? What is going on that we turn away black males who have applications and might have a record? Having a record does not mean that that is an excuse for not hiring a black man, because if it has nothing to do with abuse of children, then it should not affect their ability to interview for a job. We are losing ground in these schools because we don't have the black male representation. The average black child would be so overwhelmed to see a black teacher sitting in his desk who's a male teacher, and would cause the attendance level to go up. I know it will, because I observed a black male teacher for 2 years teaching all male boys. Every one of those young men was in trouble before they came to his class, and he was able to turn each and every one of them around. And they're a part of my study now, my 10-year study that I did on black males in the classroom and the effects that females have on black males. And let me tell you what I discovered. And this is just from my 10-year, I'll say 15-year research on observing the black male boy with a female teacher. I found that the black male boy was so desperate to have a male gender in his presence to teach, it didn't matter what nationality he was. The white teacher was fine, as well as a black male teacher. all they wanted was a male to be in their presence. So that made no difference and had no effect on the study, whether or not that gender male was white or black. However, the studies did also show that if they had their preference of which female teacher, it would be a black female teacher. And as I did more studies, I discovered that the mothers have got to be retrained too, because the mothers are loving their sons and training their daughters. And this is a quote from Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu. And that is telling me that the mothers don't know how to rear the boys without giving them the desires of their heart, like expensive trinkets and expensive gym shoes, and buying their love instead of earning it. And those young boys go to school with that same attitude that they want the female teacher to give them everything they want. And when they don't get it, then they're headed for special ed as a punishment, because the teacher doesn't want to tolerate these boys pimping them in the classroom anymore. So we've got to reflect on what are we doing in these classrooms and how are we presenting a holistic lifestyle of a family, a nuclear family, to these children that come to us in school who are lacking the dual heads of the household. It's very important that these young black boys should see a dual head of the household, female gender as well as male gender. But what are we saying? We have to work a little bit harder in getting these black men trained and prepared to work in the classroom. Yes, they don't have all the necessary coursework, but we can give them time. And over time, they can pick up these deficiencies while they're learning how to manage their classroom and gain the respect of their students. And at the same time, we would have a warm body in the classroom, someone who cares, someone who has endearment, and someone who has a vested interest to be there as a role model for black male boys. Our black schools are falling apart. Our black schools are creating a caravan of young boys who are caught up in the gangs, and female teachers don't know how to tell them how to come out of the gangs and challenge them and to offer them something that they can't refuse. Whereas a male could go in and tell them their story and change their mind about the gang, and they immediately dismiss themselves from the gang. Now, as a curriculum and instruction person, I'm saying that we are spending so much money on new curriculum every day that teachers are not interested in, and they're not even opening up the boxes to use it. Why not take some of that curriculum money, boost up the salaries, and hire more black men in the classroom? It would do you one better if you hired more black men to not only just to govern the hallways, not only just to come in for discipline and to lay the hammer down on black boys, but to come in and be those nurturers in the classroom, because men can be nurturers in the classroom. And not just for early childhood development, also for the upper grades as well. But we got to look at doing something differently, because we're finding out our schools are getting turned over to private industry. And private industry, I can't say that they won't do a better job, but I will say that some of them don't have the nurturing ability, whereas men that have been out of work and who have worked with situations where, hold on for a minute here, we got a situation here. Okay. Okay, all right. Anyway, it would be to our benefit to bring those men in, whether they have a record or not. It depends on what the record is about. We have to take one case at a time. And we've got to give these men a buy and a pass because they paid their debt to society. And a lot of them were good men and can be turned around. And we must look at stop being a throwaway society. We throw away everything and don't rekindle or refurbish human beings. And that should be the necessity to rekindle and refurbish human beings. They cannot be a throwaway society. And too many men have not been given a second chance at developing their careers. So I want to say to you administrators, you got to get involved in this. And you cannot just be sitting on the sideline watching female teachers become afraid and not wanting male in their school. We have got to even create campuses where all male teachers are teaching. It is not discriminative. You say this, and at the expense of black male boys, they suffer because you don't want to give them their all-male schools with all-male teachers. It's very vital that we should take a look at professional development and rekindle the atmosphere for dual heads of the household in our school. And we've got to really look at making sure by the time that student is fourth grade, they would have had or should have had a male teacher in their life. Some black boys do not see male teachers in their life at all, and they don't see a male image in their household. So they think they're running the show and that they are the males in their household, and they are sometimes holding their mothers captive. It's very vital that we should understand that we can do a lot better at what we're doing. Our professional development classes should be headed by males to show them the things that you could do in the classroom with males so that you can get their attention and they don't sound a deaf ear. You will find that most of our black various different psychological deficits that we are going through, we've never been treated for. So what would you think of a society that's never been psychologically treated for slavery? And you would think that things would go away over time. It doesn't happen like that. Some of these things will stay with us indefinitely unless we are going to be doing more harmonious humanity things that will allow the families to be fixed. Our families need a lot of fixing, and we can do this in the school setting. Not with just giving them a meal, but just approving of their fathers. Everyone has rejected the black man out of the community, and they've made him an outcast. He is now on the list with the bald eagle, and we want to remove him from the list with the bald eagle. And that's another thing that I researched and studied over time and looking at the black man. He's fallen lower than a refugee, and we've got to bring that black man back into school and show that he has meaning and purpose. And teachers, you have just got to get ready for it because it's the newest thing that's coming for these new schools, because we have to have law and order in the schools. Look at what's happening in the white schools where these young people are walking in shooting all their classmates. If there were more men in those schools, that wouldn't be happening. So we've got to look at these schools shutting down, these public schools. All of our public schools will be no more because they're shutting down and going to the charter school. And I don't know if they're any better. But we've got to look at professional development, something that I have my hands on, that I can make a difference and bring about workshops that include black males so you can see the benefit of them being in your school system. I want to thank you for listening to me and the sound of my voice, because being a professional development person, I often wanted to be in that department of professional development where they deal with curriculum instruction. And so much of the curriculum instruction has been a waste of time and a waste of money, where we could have spent the money much better in doing something greater for our black boys in the school if we say we truly want to save them. Put them back in the mainstream. Take them out of all these special ed classes. There's nothing special about them, and if you think so, then bring their dads in and let their dads be mentors and trainers. And bring them in and let me train them. I believe I can take the average person and train them to be good trainers. But it's very important that we should look at the benefit of the black men that are still left in our community and how we can utilize their help in these school systems. Don't just let them get paraprofessional degrees knowing you're not going to hire them and then rejecting them and then telling them it's nothing personal. It is something personal. And pretty soon they're going to be filing charges against these school districts for discriminating. And this is a discriminative practice to hire paraprofessionals who are males that are black, that come into school equipped to do the job. Now stop holding these men responsible for the crimes that they have already served time for. They must not serve time a second time. And we must have better administrators that we can see through this thing to make it a better world for our children to have dual heads of household in these classrooms. And the only way you can do that, you must open up some doors for black men to come and interview and have a successful interview with the district and bringing them in. Not setting them up, not creating problems for them, and not putting them through changes, but utilizing them like you know you should. I want to thank you so much. You've been listening to Maddie Harvey's Baby Sister. I am Sherrill M. Garth, the curriculum specialist, also the language buddy school assistant. So you can call on me if you need me in the district. I am retired now. I do take contracted work. So administrators, if you see my video, please give me a call. I'd be happy to come in to do an assessment, a self-assessment, to see if you're over-assessing African-American boys in special ed, then what to do about it. I have a plan and a process for getting them back into the mainstream, and to also look at whether or not you have misdiagnosed some of those black boys for learning disabilities when in fact it was a language disorder. We can help you in that area. And we want to thank you and say straight ahead and into the future with you. And you've been listening to Sherrill and Garth. Oh, dabble. Baba booey to you, y'all.